Hey guys, welcome to the shop. Now, this week we're going to be focusing on getting the big gearbox back into the K&T mill. Now, I've already cleaned it out. I flushed it with kerosene, and I flushed the main casting also. I got all that on video, and I'll put in some clips here and there of that process. I filmed the whole thing, but it gets a little redundant, watching somebody clean. I also got the belts for this thing, 2 of the 3. I don't know why I ordered 2 and not 3, but got those. And I still like to flush this thing out with kerosene, and I got to buy the oil still. So let's see if we can't get this gearbox strung up and installed into this mill. And as a side note, have you ever had a device that you wanted to slam on the ground so hard that it explodes into a million pieces and then scream at it? Well, that's where I'm at on this phone. Hopefully my wife gets me a new one for Christmas, and I think she's gonna. Ran over. Let's do this. When I said I still need to flush this thing out with kerosene, again, I'm talking about when I get it together and, run the thing and flush it that way. Still got to flush out all the oil passages and stuff in here. All I've done is clean off everything that's accessible by hand. So, my wife's here. Let's get this gearbox hooked up and get this thing raised up. And speaking about electronics and a laggy phone, it's bad enough having to rush because of the light and stuff. I gotta have light out here to film, but then having a phone that doesn't cooperate, and it's been doing that for a while, so it's nothing new, man. It makes you want to explode. At least it does me. So, hopefully I get a new one, because that will make things a lot easier. I use the phone in conjunction with the camera to turn it off and on, and to rewatch clips if I need to. So, I'm going to get this thing hung up. I still got to put the long shaft that sticks out of here in there, and then we'll try to clean these surfaces real good, and this thing should just slide right in, At least I hope. Probably won't do that. That's what I hope it does. Alright, so this is just kerosene, and I'm just going to flush this thing out. It's got a lot of, it's not horrible, but, it's got a lot of old broke down oil and stuff in it. I can see it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this stuff's coming off just brown. Just years of use, that's all. Nothing out of the ordinary. And this stuff's actually doing a pretty good job blasting off that crud. These canisters are super nice. I think they're called Sure Shots. This is a stainless one. Lots of people use them. Use them at work on occasion. They're just real nice. I mean, put whatever you want in there, whatever solvent, and pressurize it with your compressor, and you've got yourself a endless amount of pressurized spray. You just see the goo coming out, the goo and the little paint particles or whatever this stuff is, sealant that they spray on this cast iron. It's flaking off a little too, and it cleans up those bearings like new. Alright, so just got some hydraulic oil here, and I'm going to hit all these bearings. I think it's definitely not a good idea to start anything, dry, even though I plan on probably flushing this thing again, not outside of the machine then. So I'm just going to hit everything. This thing is a lot heavier than it looks. Alright, so get this thing lifted up here, and wasn't too bad really. Got the shaft in. This is the main drive shaft that goes through to the other side, and it's powered by the main gearbox, or by the main pulley from the motor. Trying to spread out this little Carter pin. I'm going to have to get a pair of pliers that'll reach in there proper. You probably can't see it, but there is a Carter pin here that I just want to bend a little. It's going to be tough to do kind of by yourself, but I don't have much choice, to be honest. Let's see. Turn this guy around. Not get under it. This back. Say that, but then I get under it. Shaft in there. That. And lift that up. Okay, it's a little high. Block this up with wood also. Keep everything somewhat lined up. Don't damage anything. Hoping it'll just slide together. Ooh. Ooh. It's kind of tough to do by yourself, really. A person should have help when they do stuff like this. But I think that's it. I mean, all I've done is pick it up, put the shaft in that the slot, because the main shaft that powers this runs all the way through to the other side. Make sure I've got two shift forks here. Let me show you. can see it, probably can't. Yeah, 2 forks here that have to line up with 2 gears here. So kind of hard to film and, you know, do this kind of thing at the same time, but I mean, you get the idea. I've done nothing special so far. I'm going to go back to my same method that I used when I took this thing apart. These alignment pins, I think, were really handy when it came apart. Wow, it just wants to slide together. But I'll have to get, you know, I'll have to get this hoist off once it goes together, this strap, using 2 bolting positions for that. So just put these thread rods in. That'll just help me keep things in alignment. Grab some pliers so I can run those in. And been pretty basic so far, really. I decided, you know, there is a gear that has a little damage on it, but I've just decided to leave it alone. I don't think it's going to, you know, hurt anything as is. But I need to make sure that these gasket surfaces are really good and clean. When this thing goes back together, I'll have to clean the bolts really good, because the bolts actually go through into the oil housing, and if they're not clean, it can leak through the threads and, you know, make a mess, and we don't want that. So I had to make sure my clutch lever was lifted up so it's away from that rack. And I sure hope that all of this works as planned. Bottom here. So far so good. Alright, there's that. Now let's clean off all these mating surfaces really good. A lot of pressure on it. Now it's pretty much it. Oh. Alright, so I figured that out pretty quick, and this handle is just bumping up against that. And that is something how they made that slide together. Now, I blew all this thing off and wiped everything out real good. So, that's something. Alright, let's go around to the other side. Let's look into the access port and make sure that our 2 shift forks are aligned with the gears that they manipulate from this unit. I'm going to look in this access hole. And let's see if you can see them. Okay, you can see that one there and that one there. They need to go both in their spots on these 2 gears here. And this one a little to the side. Sorry, you can't see real well, but neither can I. Okay, so let's clean up our gasket surfaces real good, and I'll show you what I'm going to use to seal this thing. Alright, so here's what I'm going to use to seal this thing for the gasket. Now, it had some sort of stuff like this on it, what it seemed like to begin with. I've stoned these surfaces off real well. I'll probably show that a little bit. You know, I've got clips of it. I've got clips of a lot of cleaning this stuff up that'll be here and there in this video. This is just a high-tack gasket sealant. It never fully cures or gets really hard, so you can, you know, take stuff back apart once you put it together. It's not a permanent, you know, adhesive sealant like you would get like an RTV or something. And I don't want to use RTV anyway. There's some oil passages and stuff in, you know, that in these two pieces, and I don't want them, you know, getting blocked up by that RTV. So I'm just going to wipe around these real good, top and bottom, and main casting. Get any oil off of them. All the way around. Alright, let's see if we can get you, see if we can get you a shot up in here. I'm kind of stick the GoPro up in here. You can see all that sludge. Quite a bit, really. But, you know, I've seen them a lot worse. You can see it stuck to the sides of the casing and stuff. I try to blast all that off if I can, get it down in the bottom, and where I can use a rag and get it out. Here's the big full gear for the main spindle. This spindle has 3 sets of spindle bearings. There's one back here. I'll blow you out there, you can see that. And then there's the middle set, which, you know, they really tout in their literature as a big bonus, the mid spindle bearing. And then, of course, it has one way up there in front of that big gear with the green paint on it. That is the main front bearing. So it's about as good a look in there as I can get you. You have seen more than most people. And then there's the gear that operates on the rack shaft that we made for the gearbox. That's your clutch engagement. And there you go, good luck. Now let's get this thing cleaned out. There's a filter. And there you go. And I'm just going to use that stuff sparingly. This should be a really, you know, good machine surface. I mean, it didn't look like it really leaked much before, so just going to hope that I'm going to use it sparingly, especially in the places around where the, you know, it has oil passages anyway. Let's just say that. One of my favorite stones, and that's just the fine India wedge. They're really, really handy for all sorts of things. Where people have pried on it, you know, I'm just trying to knock all those down. Look at that. It's just sludge, really. Nothing. Let's feel down in here and see if we get anything out of there. Look at that. Just goo. It's, you know, nothing that's not really that, you know, this is not untypical. So, you know, don't think that's crazy. It's just sludge. Oil does that, especially after 70 years, and it's probably never been flushed. That'd be my guess. So I'm just going to try to... I need something to scoop that out into. just got a pan. I'm just going to scoop it out by hand. Ugh. It'd go through a million rags and get the worst of it. Not feeling any chunks, that's always good. You know, if you find a gear tooth down in there, you know you're in trouble. Alright, so I want to pull off, this is a strainer, and I'm assuming that it needs cleaned, but I can't assure that it's clean without pulling it off, really. And it's got a little clip here, and it's getting windy outside for sure. So get that clip off. I think it'll be easier to take off this piece, just put that to the side. Yeah, and now we need to get off. Get you stable here. This nut here. And I'm supposed to get on it. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Yes. Now this is the oil pickup tube, so we need to be certain that we get it back on tight, or else this thing will probably suck air and won't oil. But this thing at least has some oil flow, some sites where you can make sure that it's picking up oil and moving it through the machine. That's one real good thing about this. It was like visually being able to see that the machine's oiling. There we go. And there's that. Wow, let me show you this thing. Check. That is our pickup. And you can see it definitely needs a cleaning. It wasn't clogged, but you know, probably 30% of it's blocked anyway. So we'll wash this thing out, and you know, I'll be able to clean out from under it really well also. I don't know if you can see down there, it's pretty dark, but get some light. Yeah, see? You see down in there? A lot of, not a whole lot, but you know, some sediment, some sludge that still needs cleaned out. Looking better. We'll clean out this strainer, and then we will start flushing this thing out as best we can anyway. Alright, so there's a little look at that, closer maybe, and pretty blocked really. I think the best way to clean this, I don't want to flush all this junk up into the hose. This is your primary strainer, I guess, and then it goes to a secondary filter, which we already cleaned a while back, but you know, got a lot of goo in it. This is pretty neat, man. You probably wouldn't see something like that today. It is an aluminum housing with a bronze screen that's cast in, so that's pretty neat. The way that they used to do that kind of stuff. So we'll pull this, pull this off. Get off there. Easy enough. Set that to the side. I'm just going to back flush this. Right, so clean that out really well, and I think it looks pretty good. Cleaned it inside and out. It had a lot of sludge on the inside too. It actually took quite a bit to get this clean enough to where I thought it was, you know, safe to put back in. Because I had to, that stuff was stuck to the screen pretty well, and by taking a brush, I really pushed a lot of stuff through the screen. So I had to clean out back in there really well too, which was tough. But anyway, compressed air, got it cleaned out good. I'm happy with it. And put a little tape back on this. Didn't have it originally here, and I don't know that it's completely necessary. But this is an NPT fitting, so a little tape won't hurt it. Just a little, and we don't want it to be, you know, blocking our flow. I always, you know, see people put, you know, way too much of this stuff on usually, and well, a lot of you guys already know, but I figure it's worth a mention. These are flared fittings, you know, like a compression fitting or something that has a ferrule does not require any Teflon tape on the threads because they don't seal on the threads. Putting Teflon tape on this would do nothing. They seal on the face of the flared fitting or on a ferrule. So when this screws into here, there's no reason to put any tape or anything on the threads. Won't make a bit of difference. I see it all the time at work. People putting Teflon tape on threads that do not even, you know, seal. Just put them tight there. And that's good and clean. Screw this back together. Now I flushed out this tube really well too, the pickup tube. So it should be good to go. Look, yeah, clean and oiled. See if I can get you a shot up in the top there. It's the main spindle. Yeah, pretty clean. A lot cleaner than it was. It's main bowl gear. I think it looks pretty good. The tube installed. Pretty good. Alright guys, that's it of part one. Part two should be out right now, hopefully, if I get all my editing done. So make sure to go look for it, part two. We're getting this thing back together, and man, I'm excited about it. It will not be long. We'll be making chips. So go watch part two, and thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.